Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Beating Long COVID. My name's Adam, and this is the channel where we discuss all things beating long COVID, basically things that help and any mitigations that you can do, and my story basically. So a lot of you may know that I got COVID again, and so did my whole family at the end of September. So I've actually kind of taken a break from these videos for a bit, and you guys know how important it is to take care of yourself. So I have stepped away for about a month, and I was wondering when the right time was to come back and make the next video. And today just seemed to be the right day to do that. So I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I mean, there has been a ton of you that have joined this channel over the time that I've been gone, too, ever since I did my interview with Raylan. So welcome to the channel, and, thanks everybody for coming back. I appreciate it. I'm doing a lot better. Everybody's doing a lot better here. I did have quite a bit of symptoms. I'd say COVID knocked me out for about a week. I went right into my FLCCC eye care protocol, which I did back in December as well, and I was lucky enough back in December not to have any of my symptoms return, my long COVID symptoms return a few weeks after I got COVID back then. This time, definitely had a few of the symptoms return, but they were short-lived, so I would say I'm pretty much back to myself, my 90% back to normal like I was in August during my Raylan interview. So what I wanted to do with this video, I know there's been some requests for videos about depersonalization, derealization, and other things like that, and I'm going to get to that, over the next few weeks. But because of what's happened to me over the last month, it's fresh in my brain, and I've been living it. So we're going to talk about the eye care protocol, and basically it's the season right now for COVID and for the flu and RSV in general. So this video is for people who are concerned about getting reinfected or getting any sort of illness or sickness in general. And what we're going to do is review this protocol, and I've used this twice now with success. Any sort of treatments that you can use to take care of yourself. And for this one, we're going to go through it, and I'm going to just take a quick look at the first line therapies that they discuss, the second line therapies, and then we're going to go from there. But yeah, I think the video is really time relevant. I've been reached out to by a lot of you guys. I've been doing my best to respond to the comments while I've been sick too. And we haven't just been sick with COVID in September. Like, our little one started daycare basically right after this. He got COVID at daycare, brought it home. But he's been sick ever since, and we've all been getting it. So we've had like the flu, and he's had rashes and stuff. So there's just been so much sickness in this house. So we're all doing better, thankfully. So what I'm going to do right now is kind of get into this protocol and how you can use it over the next few months of this new wave of COVID, and we'll go from there. Alright, you guys, so what I wanted to do today, other than update you on how I've been feeling and doing since my reinfection and all the viruses and stuff that have been coming home from the kids at school, is go through a practical guide of what you can do, because I know we're all worried right now about being reinfected and just getting sick in general, because we know that it can flare our symptoms and spike our symptoms. So I feel like I really got it early this year. September was early. Last year I got it in December, and honestly, it's so hard to avoid it. Obviously, masking in public areas if you can, and avoiding contact with any infected people who have COVID, like people at work and things like that. It's really hard when you're trying to go about recovery and you have to be at work and you're trying to do some gym exercises and things like that, or even going to family events and things. But we have to live our lives, and that's what I advocate for in recovery. Is you can't just, box yourself away, because for me, I had long COVID, so mental health is a huge part of that. So we got to learn to live with this. And this, to me, right here, is the best tool in our tool belt, basically, to try and stave off any flares after reinfection. So I've used this twice now. Once back in December, and most recently last month when I got reinfected. And regardless of your feelings of the FLCCC and their doctors, they were one of the first groups to put out any sort of free advice on treatment of COVID and long COVID. So I remember 20 months ago now going to this site and looking at their long COVID program, and we're not going to discuss that today because you guys have probably already all seen it, and you've probably seen this as well. But I just want to relate this back to how I've used it twice. So this website just basically, it's a group of doctors who talk about all sorts of webinars, tools, education about COVID, and long COVID. But what we're going to discuss is their treatment protocols. So you can go and I'll link the website for them in the description. You can also see it in the URL bar there. But they have all sorts of different protocols here for free. And you can see here the I Recover protocol for long COVID or vax injury, super helpful. Similar to the eye care protocol, but that's what we're going to go through today is the eye care protocol here. So basically, you want to try and catch COVID, not catch COVID, but find out you have COVID and catch it before, it's been a few days. So I use Paxlovid or Paxlovid, however you pronounce it. It's not necessarily recommended in here, but antivirals are. So in my opinion, if you can get your hands on some antivirals, for some of you, ivermectin might be easier to get in your country than Paxlovid. So definitely go after that. But you'll see that in their first line therapies there is ivermectin. I had some left over from my ivermectin long haul dosage. Basically, it was a lower dosage than they recommend here for acute COVID, but really important to catch it early. So if you feel like you're losing your taste and smell, if you're having trouble breathing, if you're feeling like you have a sore throat or you're feeling ear congestion, these are all things I had in my case. Test yourself. And in my case, I think I found out probably the day or the second day after that the test showed positive. Immediately after that, hit up antivirals. So there's even newer antivirals that you could use. Paxlovid is one of them. That's a 5-day course, 3 pills in the morning, 3 pills at night for 5 days. So I did that personally. And then I did this eye care protocol as well at the same time. Not the ivermectin and the Paxlovid at the same time, but everything else, pretty much everything else in here that we'll discuss, I use. So super important to catch it early. There's 2 stages. The first stage is basically the viral stage, and you want to try and reduce that virus as much as possible. So things like nasal rinses, iodine nasal sprays, mouthwash, antivirals, those will be important in the early days. And then calming the cytokine storm as well, and then staving off inflammation. So it's almost like fighting this beast each time, and it definitely takes a round out of you. Not just the COVID itself, but like the treatments you're using also take a round out of you. But I promise you're not doing it in vain. They are super helpful. As I said, for me, it's helped me twice recover without having my long COVID symptoms worsen. And that's something we talk about a lot is you either get worse, so you hear on the forum sometimes the negativity about people who get reinfected get worse or a lot of their symptoms come back. You stay the same, which is what I always hope for, or some people spontaneously get better. So always praying for that, but to just stay the same in your recovery and not get worse, I'll take it, and I think you guys will as well. So I'm not going to read everything out here. You guys can go ahead here and get into most of this text and read about what they suggest here and all sorts of things like that. But again, they say here PCR test not required. Basically, I mean, if you think you have COVID and you're suffering with long COVID, you already know what you're in for. So start the treatment. Test yourself with one of those rapid tests, but don't wait. Don't wait. That's the worst thing you can do. You got to treat this immediately. So they say in order priority, not all required. So we're going to talk about not all of these here. I didn't do all of them. I don't know a whole lot about everything. So we'll just talk about the ones I use. So ivermectin, super important. You could swap this out for any other antiviral. So I used Paxlovid because I had access to it through my long COVID clinic, as I'm a high risk basically because of my asthma and because of my long COVID history. So I took that for 5 days. So they also say ivermectin here for 5 days. You take that. And again, none of this is medical advice. This is what I did. So I'll put that note in the video here, but none of it's medical advice. Obviously, speak to your doctor about all of this that's in here, and then go from there. Hydrochloroquine. I also use this as well, both times. So you'll see the dosages here. I'm not going to read them out loud. So pair an antiviral with that. Mouthwash. Again, first stage of this, reducing viral load. So the mouthwash will help you do that. So it has to be a specific type of mouthwash. So I use the Listerine, like original mouthwash. We all know that that definitely is going to take care of, it's a definitely antiseptic or an antimicrobial mouthwash. So it's going to kill viral load in your throat. We all know that the COVID likes to infect this sinus cavity in the throat. Nasal spray. This was a new one I used this time. So we actually, you can find an iodine nasal spray, and Jesus, I've never cried so much in my life. I mean, it is just so potent. And even at that tiny strength there, that 1% nasal mist, you can look it up. Immune mist, you can get them on Amazon. And it just burns, so you know it's working. And the funny part is, I used it for the 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and like on day 3 or 4, like it didn't burn anymore. So whether or not that tells me it was working for me, I think that should just speak for itself. So that was a new one I added this time to reduce that viral load with that mouthwash. Quercetin I also use, so this is one that I used in my long COVID journey as well. I used it once a day. Take it separate from your antiviral, as they kind of they don't do well together. This one I'm going to skip over because I didn't use it. Honey, so raw and organic honey I got at Whole Foods. I use this twice daily. Whether or not that's helpful, I'm not sure, but it's part of the protocol again, so we're just going through everything I used. Melatonin, I used 5 milligrams at night. Again, I've used that throughout my long haul to reduce inflammation. Turmeric, so I used 500 milligrams twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. Zinc, I used 50 milligrams a day just because it came in a 50 milligram pill. Again, with vitamin C, and basically you got to boost your immune system, so that's what I was using as well. We're talking about thinning the blood here, so aspirin, 325 milligrams, so just a regular aspirin. I used that once a day as well. Trying to build up the gut, so kefir, we're talking about probiotics here, so I used yogurt and kefir, and I put some berries in it for a pre and probiotic. I use that daily as well. Here's the vitamin C, so twice a day, high dose, so 1,000 milligrams is what I use twice a day. Metformin, I don't know a whole lot about that. There's a lot of long COVID talk about metformin right now, so please do your own research on that. For a lot of you who are at risk of respiratory long COVID issues or COVID issues in general, it's best to have one of these home pulse oximeters, which I have. I used that. Mine stayed above 96% the whole time I had COVID, so but just always best to check for that. Second line therapies. So we're talking now about some other stuff. Those are the first line therapies. So it says add the following to the first line therapies if you have more than 5 days of symptoms or poor response to the first line agents. For me, I was just being overly cautious, and I just used a lot of these at the same time as the first line therapy. So vitamin D3, definitely used that. I don't know much about this one above, but I used D3, 2,500 milligrams a day. I used a B complex, 100 milligrams a day. You know what, guys, the funny part about this is I feel like a lot of this stuff was in my COVID box protocol video, which I'll link in the description, which discusses a ton of these things that I used for long COVID. So again, they overlap. The eye care protocol and the eye recover protocol overlap with a lot of supplements and mitigations. NAC, again, not sure about the legality and availability in the US. Definitely ways to get them through Canada if you really would like to try them. They're great. So I used 600 milligrams twice a day. Omega-3, I did use 3,000 milligrams a day. That was a refrigerated version from Costco, so that's super important to fight inflammation as well. Fluvoxamine, here we are again. We've talked about fluvoxamine before in terms of brain inflammation, so I would definitely hopped on this. I hopped on 25 milligrams once a day. Just because I was taking so many things, I didn't want to bump it to 50, and obviously I knew I had tolerated it in the past, so I immediately added that one to reduce inflammation. Below is a chart here. We won't talk too much about this. You guys can read this yourselves. It talks about your weight and your dosage of ivermectin. So ivermectin was available as a antiviral before Paxlovid was available in a lot of the pharmaceutical company antiviral drugs. A lot of controversy around it. Again, this channel doesn't discriminate. We talk about it. I used it in the beginning, and I have absolutely nothing against it. I mean, when you're in a place where we are, and you have people gaslighting us and telling us that it's horse medication when it's really not, can be used for treating things. And now there's studies being done that it's actually effective, and it was misinformation on what was peddled a year ago. So, you know what? I'm not afraid to talk about it that much anymore. So definitely, if you can't get Paxlovid, get on ivermectin if you can, and these can be gotten through your doctor. We scroll down to the next page here. This I really liked because, geez, you're on a lot of stuff when you're doing this eye care protocol. So it's nice to have a chart here, and I always printed this. Like, I always have mine printed and handy, and I kind of do my check marks myself to make sure that I'm getting everything in, because there's so many different things to take and there's different interactions. So there's not a ton of hardcore medications, but these supplements can also take a round out of you too, and definitely the antivirals can. So it's nice to have a chart here to just show you what to take and when to take it. So we just keep going through, and that's really it, guys. So super short protocol. I feel like this used to be longer, like way longer, maybe 6 pages. It's now reduced down to 3 pages as time has gone on. You know, they've ruled things out, or they've taken things out and added things in. You know, metformin, for example, is one I don't even know about. I need to do some research on. But definitely look into this protocol. Have it ready. Have it ready, because we know that unless we stay in our room, that COVID is inevitable. And even if we do stay in our room, like, and we have kids or family that go out into the world and go to jobs or go in public, like, it's going to come home at some point. So it's best to be ready for this. And it's not just about COVID too. Like, you know, any RSV or flu can come home and can trigger symptoms. I remember last year, I would get big waves and flares from just the common cold, and you can see that this can help with that as well. So you're not necessarily going to follow this for same protocol for a cold, but this is definitely the best protocol out there that I have used for COVID in general and treating COVID. It's also very similar to the I Recover protocol that they have in there for long COVID. That's why you'll see so many of those treatments and mitigations overlap. For a lot of you too, you know, like, I had my worst symptom was I have eustachian tube dysfunction. So the tube between my middle ear and in my, I guess the back of my throat gets inflamed, and it almost feels like I lose my hearing and my ear won't pop, like you're on a plane and it won't pop. So I had that for like 3.5 weeks, and it was making me crazy. But it finally popped, so that's a positive thing. So some of this stuff just takes time, as you know, and if you do get some weird symptoms pop up after you do get reinfected, just make sure you're treating it. You know, I was watching videos for eustachian tube dysfunction and popping your ears, and it seemed nothing was working, but I'm sure it was working in the background. It just took time. So, and that's just one example of things that could happen. But, this is just a protocol that you can use. There's lots more out there, but I wanted to jump on here and review this with you guys, and also just let you know I'm doing good. More videos will be coming soon. A lot of viewer requested videos will be coming soon. It's just been a battle to kind of get this household back to health, and that's it. You know, cleave on your faith, whatever that might be. And I wish you guys all the best going through this cold and flu season and COVID season. And I hope this helps one of you out there that that may be going through the same thing as me. All right, guys. Until next time, take care.